RV ovens, are they really useless? Well, let's find out today.
Nope. Yep.
Dibs.
This Furoin oven is the most popular oven option in modern RVs. But does it really have the extreme limitations that some YouTubers are saying? Time to get to work and see what we can do with this thing. And today, we're doing something special. Bigfoot Mom is going to take the lead as she is the master chef in this family. Bigfoot Mom, are you ready?
All right, let's get this oven fired up. A quick note to those that have trouble lighting these things. You have to turn the knob to the flame and hold the knob in for about 10 seconds before you try igniting the flame. Ours usually takes about 20 to 25 seconds before there's enough propane to light.
It's worth noting that we need to have our stove glass retracted because the oven needs to vent. You can see the moisture venting out here.
For breakfast, we're going to start really simple and crisp up some tater tots. Set the oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit and let them cook for about 20 minutes, turning once to crisp them. Add these little gems to your eggs and sausage that you cooked on the stovetop, and you'll have a great way to start your day.
Let's move to America's favorite anytime meal, pizza.
You can get these market-side rectangular pizzas at Walmart, which come in a variety of tasty flavors. Simply set the oven to about 425, shove this thing in here, and let it cook until it's melted and starting to turn golden brown. This is a fairly small oven, so if you're maxing out the oven to pizza size ratio, rotate the pizza halfway through for a little more even cooking.
While we're cooking, let's point out that these countertops, like the most commonly found in RVs, are covered with thermofoil. Do not set anything hot on these or they will melt and peel up. We will be using this collapsible rack behind the scenes to set our food on. Ah yes, this is looking so tasty. It's perfect for a quick lunch or dinner and one of your favorite shows. Let's take this up a notch and create another breakfast favorite, coffee cake. Have you ever tried baking a cake in here?
This is a special recipe that has reduced sugar. But wow, it still tastes fantastic. Just mix your melted or softened butter with a couple eggs and your white sugar of choice. Once that's pretty well blended, add in all your dry ingredients. And then finally add some vanilla and sour cream. And you've got a batter ready to go. Half goes in the pan and then gets sprinkled with a blend of white and brown sugar and plenty of cinnamon. Then spread the other half of the batter on top of that and sprinkle with the remaining sugar-cinnamon blend. Bake for about 50 minutes at about 375. This oven knob is not precise, so monitor your cake throughout. Rotate at least once halfway through is a good idea too.
Oh man, this is absolute heaven if you haven't tried this before. Take a look how this turned out. Oh, there it goes. Oh, son of a... This was one of my favorite sweets when I was growing up, and we always knew it was Thanksgiving or Christmas morning when we could smell the aroma coming from the kitchen. Tonight, we're going to have some apple pie for dessert. We'll start by rinsing off some of these apples with our favorite bathroom cleaner. Oh, no. We'll start by rinsing off some of these apples with some produce cleaner.
Let's get started by chopping up some of these Granny Smith apples. We like to use these flexible cutting boards to protect the counter. They're light, easy to clean, and super easy to store. Next, we'll stir in some flour, sugar, or sweetener, and plenty of cinnamon. What can I say? We like flavorful food. Now we'll get to work on the crust. Flour, salt, butter, and some water. Simple ingredients for a delicious product.
Blend the flour, salt, and butter together with a pastry beater until the butter is fairly well chopped up. You want to see little bits of butter throughout. We've used the 2-pie crust recipe for this. Once you're there, add in cold water and blend or mix by hand until it all sticks together. You can add a little extra water if needed, but be sure not to use too much or the dough will be sticky and hard to work with, and it'll stick to your pie plate. Once it's all pulled together in a ball, divide the dough in half and roll each half out in a floured surface. Since we're working in a small space, we have to place the bottom crust in the pie plate before we can roll out the top crust. You can trim the crust if you'd like. Pour the apples in and spread them evenly. Note, since we're working with a small oven, we don't want to overfill the crust. Normally we'd throw some small cubes of butter on top before placing on the crust, but we forgot. Style the crust however you'd like. Cut some slits in the top and add the butter cubes now if you forgot like we did earlier. I like to yoink some of this extra crust. Yoink?
You're watching too much Garrett Galvin, dear.
Yeah, yoink.
The pie goes in for 45 minutes at 425, but be patient. The top crust is not going to brown as well as it does in your home oven. If you try to turn the temperature up to create that golden brown, you'll just burn the bottom. If it's bubbly and the top crust feels cooked when you gently touch it, then it's done. While this thing is cooking, let's note that we need to be selective with our cookware. As you've already noticed, we have an assortment of pans and dishes that fit properly in the oven. Here are a few that we use that fit our needs rather nicely. Just measure your dimensions in the oven and occasionally keep your eye out for new pans while you're shopping. Once you get your new pans and bakeware, set them in the oven to test them before you put food in them. Links in the description below for a few of ours.
Oh, wow, I cannot wait for after dinner to have some of this. It looks amazing.
Good.
It's dinner time, so let's start cooking enchiladas while the apple pie cools.
We'll start out by cooking some of this chicken. We'll sprinkle on a generous portion of taco seasoning. Meanwhile, let's start the sauce. We'll work this cream cheese until it's melted, then we'll let this simmer for a bit with this can of diced tomatoes and chilies. Now that the chicken is done, shred it in a bowl. Then we'll place it back in the hot pan to cook off some of the moisture. That way you can keep all your delicious spices.
Let's add some shredded cheese to help thicken the sauce and boost the flavor. You can never have too much cheese, can you? Let's take a moment to acknowledge that things can get pretty warm in an RV while cooking. This is why we do much of our cooking outside on warmer days, because we only have a single AC. Yeah, you'll need to have this thing on to keep your RV cool, so turn it down in advance of cooking to get ahead of the problem.
Once your sauce has thickened and your chicken liquids have evaporated, lay out your favorite shells and start layering cheese, chicken, sauce, and more cheese. Use as much or as little as you'd like. Just remember that they've got to roll up, at least a little, and fit into a pan to go into the oven. Once you've placed them all in a pan, top with enchilada sauce and cheese. Throw the pan in the oven for 10 minutes at about 425. You're just looking to heat the enchilada sauce and melt the cheese, or if you like your shells a little crispy like us, don't drown them in enchilada sauce. Just a light coating will do, and leave them in a little longer.
Can you believe this result? Well, if you could smell this right now, you'd be a little giddy too. A perfect dinner for a herd of squatches. So does this have extreme limitations, essentially making these useless? Well, I think we've proven that wrong in this video. This is just a small sample of what we've cooked in our RV over the years. A bigger oven and stove would be great, of course, but we made this work for us while we were full-timing. And you can too. If you like this video, then give Bigfoot Mom and I a thumbs up by clicking on the button below. This really helps me understand what you're looking for. Meanwhile, I have another video right up here ready for you. As always, thank you for watching, my fellow Squatchologists, and we'll see you next time.